I think where that runs into a problem is, again, under the Supreme Court's common use test. The AR-15 rifle is the most popular rifle in the United States and has been for years. It is often sold factory standard with a 30-round magazine. And in terms of what makes sense for self-defense, the AR-15 semi-automatic rifle, not a machine gun, but the AR-15 rifle is very commonly carried by police in their squad cars as their backup long gun to have. Most police cars have a long gun in them, and these days it is increasingly the AR-15 that is their firearm of choice, and typically with a 30-round magazine. Now, the police don't carry guns to go hunting. They don't carry guns to be gun collectors. They carry them for only one purpose, which is the lawful defense of self and others. That police officers choose an AR-15 with a 30-round magazine really tells you that it is a very good gun for the defense of self and others. And it is not, contrary to some of these really vicious lies put out by some of the gun prohibitionists, it's not something that's made for massacring innocent people. Police departments don't want their officers going out and massacring a bunch of innocent people. Police departments want police officers to use guns to save the lives of innocent people. The AR-15 is their gun of choice, and that tells you it is at the core of the Second Amendment right protected by Heller, which is about lawful self-defense.
A lot of people were very disappointed in the way that the NRA handled this whole event. They were essentially calling for more armed guards in schools, and they felt that, I'm one of them, I felt that was a very disappointing response. What drives the NRA to make that case, and how do you evaluate their argument?
Well, I think the NRA sincerely agrees with President Obama, as I do, that Newtown, the mass murder of school children, is intolerable. And we have to change so that this stops happening. Now, what changes are we going to adopt? Some people propose various gun bans. Maybe those would supposedly do some good after a period of years, although in a country with 300 million guns, I don't expect a lot of positive benefits from trying to ban guns at this point. I've advocated for much stronger civil commitment laws and more funding for mental health, and I think that's important at the state level. But again, that's not something that's going to have an immediate impact. The thing that immediately ends school shootings is somebody shooting back. The Newtown killer had 20 minutes to fire 150 rounds of ammunition and murder 26 people before the police showed up. What you want to do is take that window of opportunity of murdering from 20 minutes down and make it as small as possible, ideally 0. There are a dozen times in this country's recent history when would-be mass murderers in public places, including in schools, have been stopped by off-duty police officers, by on-duty police officers, or by armed citizens, including a vice principal at Pearl, Mississippi High School. It's the only thing that makes a difference right now. This country wants, and the children in this country deserve, an end to these things right now. Not a policy that'll have a good benefit in 5 years, not a policy that'll have a good benefit in 2 years or in 8 months. An immediate solution is essential. And the only solution that immediately works to attacks on schools is the ability to fight back. And we know that when that happens, the attacks end quite quickly.
So how much crime is really committed by undocumented or illegal immigrants? Is this as big of a problem as Donald Trump says? Tom Foreman is here with an out-front investigation. And Tom, the point-blank question, is Trump right?
Well, Aaron, if you look at certain facts, there is something to support what he says. For example, in 2014, well over 30,000 undocumented immigrants with criminal records were released. This is for all types of crimes, big ones and small ones. And U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement says a staggering 121 people released in this fashion were later rearrested for suspected involvement in murder. Now, these cases often make headlines. For example, earlier this year, one of the former contestants for America's Top Model was killed in a triple homicide in North Carolina. A chief suspect in those killings was this man, an undocumented immigrant who was once in custody and was incredibly set free. In 2010, a woman in New York had been menaced by an undocumented immigrant from China. He had been picked up, shuffled through the prison and immigration system for a while. Then, because China would not take him back, he was set free. And authorities say he then hunted her down in New York and brutally killed her, literally ripping out her heart. And these stories go on and on, Aaron. In a country this big, does that represent a gigantic surging problem? I don't know, but it is very shocking, the cases you do hear about. Aaron?
It is shocking and troubling. And here's the question, Tom. These people are in custody. They are in the United States illegally, and they are criminals in these cases. Why are they ever then set free? They're in custody. Why wouldn't you say, there's the border, goodbye, let the door hit you on the way out?
That is a fantastic question, and part of this is a legal matter. Say the immigration has a person in custody. They want to deport him, but as in the case of that guy from China, the home country says, we don't want him either. We're not going to take him back. The Supreme Court has ruled these people cannot be held forever just because they might be a threat. So you would think that all these law enforcement agencies, state and local and federal, would agree to track these dangerous individuals. But even though we've talked for years about a comprehensive network of information sharing between all law enforcement agencies, it still does not exist. So one agency may know a dangerous guy is free and roaming some state, but the local folks may not know, and vice versa. And too often, Aaron, the victims have no clue.